Hello and welcome to Kedrick Farms. We're back with another episode of the Royalton, Minnesota map. And I have a confession to make. We've spent some more money. So we're a couple of days advanced from where we left off last episode because we needed to let the ground thaw out so that we could do some work. And I realized I've updated to the version of precision farming that JS Mapping edited, which adds support for anhydrous ammonia. And so I really wanted to give that a try. And so we have bought an anhydrous rig and this tank here, which handily has the Nutrient Ag Solutions logo that we could add to it. So we're up here, had just filled this tank up with anhydrous ammonia. And we're going to head on back to the farm and try this anhydrous application out. Now it is still spring, so we're going to be doing this before we plant crops and seeing how it operates there. And we're going to take a little bit different way back to the farm today, just to see a little bit different parts of the map. So here we are back up at the farm. See if we can pull in without going in the ditch this time. And we've got this full anhydrous tank, so we're going to bring this right on up here. I've got the new anhydrous applicator all hooked up here to the 7R, so we're going to be hitting some of these fields. I thought we'd start with this field that was corn last year and get some anhydrous put back into this. I'm not sure what our planting rotation is going to be, and so I thought, given the fact that we've got quite a bit of fields that are in a pretty bad state, that we would potentially just hit most of the fields. We'll see how far this anhydrous gets us. So let's back this anhydrous applicator up just a smidge, so that we can hook this trailer up. I think if we get this lined up a little bit closer here, we should be able to jump out and pop this pin in. Perfect. And you've always got to remember to hook the hose up. And then, as you can see here, it is recognizing the anhydrous ammonia fill type as something that precision farming knows about. And so I think if we go ahead and just get this guy started here, we're going to be good to go, easy as that. Now, normally, we're going to automatically be applying something like this based on the crop type. But when you don't have a crop type, I think it sets it to a static value. And so luckily, most of the crops that we're planting either need a high static value like corn, or if it's something like potatoes or soybeans, it's going to ignore the fertilization rate that's being applied. And so here we are just tilling this in. Now it does look like we're kind of mixing up the corn here into a cultivated state, I think, with this particular mod. I'm just going to check here briefly. We are cultivating, which is not helping us with our plowed state, I don't think. So, which is fine. I wouldn't expect this thing to act as a plow, but it is counting as a cultivator. So That's interesting. Not entirely sure if that makes sense or not with the amount of, or the limited amount of tillage that we've actually got on this thing, but we're going to go with it for now. Now, I'm going to go ahead and shut this whole rig off. Now, what I like about this is that we made a pass down the field here, and we did not use that much anhydrous, and so we're probably going to be able to get quite a bit done with one tank here, which is probably a good thing for us. Trying not to jackknife this trailer here. Just realized that we weren't quite where I needed to be. And if we get everything turned on here, I want to get just a little bit closer to make sure I'm grabbing the edge of this field. We're going to just take the headlands off of both this field, and we're going to jump across and do field 31 at the same time, just to get them all. Now these fields don't quite line up here. If I was going to change anything with these fields, that might be what I try to change, is just to make the ditch edge of these fields line up a little bit better, but that's okay. And so I'm seeing some oddities here on field 31 with what we're actually applying from a nitrogen perspective, so I'm not sure why that might be. We're gonna start going down the long rows though here and see if that changes at all, and maybe we'll jump in and look at this on the bigger map, but I'm not seeing the anhydrous actually apply right now. And if I bring up this menu, that would be because crop does not require additional fertilizer. And so every once in a while we're hitting a spot where it does. So I'm curious what was in this field previously. This field was soybeans previously, so it thinks that I don't need fertilizer here because this crop was soybeans. So I'm just curious, if I jump out here, what it thinks this is now. It thinks this is weed. I don't know why that would be called weeds, but this is soybeans. So I'm wondering if we need to do tillage to this field first and then try to apply the anhydrous, because right now this anhydrous is doing nothing for us. So no sense running this tillage tool through this ground. So we're gonna head back over here to the field we started in, and we're gonna try and put this back down here. I did forget to set my width, so I'm gonna adjust that now. And it looks like it's trying to do differing amounts based on the soil type. If I come into precision farming menu here and look at nitrogen, it's maxing it out at 200 kilograms for that soil type and putting the rest at 160. So the thing is if I was to plant corn here, these would be appropriate values, I believe. I think corn in the best soil types needs 200 nitrogen, and then in silty clay, I think it needs a little bit less, but what I'm nervous about, so when we're doing it this way, we're applying just a flat rate of 120 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, and we're getting to a pretty high rate in some areas here. Now, soybeans and potatoes and such will ignore over-fertilization, but corn will not. Now, corn requires quite a high level of nitrogen in the soil, so the thing I'm thinking through here is this is probably going to work out fine, because most of the crops we're going to plant will handle a high level of nitrogen. But if I was going to plant something that needed less nitrogen, I would need to probably be manually adjusting the rate here to be less, to match up with what I need for that crop type, since at this point precision farming doesn't know how much you need. And so I could probably just set that to some lower value that cuts down on the amount of liquid fertilizer I'll need while planting or later in the year, and allows us to use this much cheaper nitrogen from the anhydrous ammonia. Because I think this whole tank of nitrogen only cost me like $2,000 to fill up, I think, for 2,000 gallons here. And we're obviously getting quite a bit of mileage out of this one tank, given that we've only used up, about, 50 gallons so far, and we've almost finished one of our 5 fields. So I think we're going to just go with this and let precision farming put the maximum amount down, and we're just going to make sure we grow appropriate crops this year that are going to be able to handle this. I had wanted to try and put down at least one field of sunflowers. Let's look at the planting map here. Sunflowers could go in as soon as the ground temperature gets to 45 degrees. We're also going to be planting this wet corn instead of the regular corn variety, because if we look at Global Company here and look at our corn dryer, you have to have wet corn to turn it into dry corn and get the bonus for selling the dry corn on the map. So we're definitely going to be doing that, because if we look at corn and bean prices, you'll notice corn prices are at $2.50 a bushel. And then if I come over here, wet corn is higher, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that this would be higher than the base game corn. But dry corn is significantly enhanced here. It seems actually a little bit overpoweringly so, given that these are more normalized prices, but I'm not going to complain. It does still give us a reason to come in and use the mechanics. I'm trying to see if wet corn shows up in here. It does. We don't have any historical data, so we'll have to build that data over time. I have to assume, though, that wet and dry corn are going to follow the same kind of a patterns that you typically see in normal corn. These are being lowered because of my bushels conversion, so the fact that we're using unit convert kind of messes with that screen just a little bit. All right, so we have finished applying nitrogen to this first field. We can't apply it to field 31 because field 31 needs to be plowed first. If we just take a quick look here, field 28 is also available to have nitrogen applied. So we're going to actually just zip over there and put some nitrogen on field 28. And then I think we're going to get switched over to do a little bit of tillage and see how that goes. I'm finding the textures on this map to be a little bit interesting as well. I'm noticed them. I don't know if I've commented yet, but if you just look here at the cultivated texture, it's very different than the base game cultivated texture. There's a bit of, I guess, crop debris and stuff in there. So it does look quite a bit different. And then as a result, the tire tracks in that cultivated texture look pretty cool. It looks like the dirt is just a lot, I don't know, softer, powdery style dirt there. It's different. I don't know if I'm a huge fan or not, but I do like seeing when people do different things like this. Gives you ideas for what is possible in the game. All right, so we're on the last little pass here. There's a sliver of this field left that we needed to pick up here as we come back. And then we're going to switch over to a little bit of tillage here. While we've been running this field, I've been running the numbers and trying to figure out a good crop rotations, what we're going to plant, and how we want to run this farm. I'm starting to get some good ideas on what we're going to do for a rotation. I've noticed that sunflowers and potatoes seem to rotate pretty well with each other. Potatoes are kind of an odd crop. They don't really seem to want to rotate with too many things because they are counted as a, I believe nightshade is the crop type. And so it's kind of difficult to find something to rotate with them. And so we're going to try and do a sunflower potato rotation on several of our fields. And so I think we're actually going to do that in the 2 fields that we just finished applying anhydrous to when the time comes. I think those are going to be good targets. We'll put sunflowers in one and potatoes in the other and kind of see how that goes. I don't think I'm going to leave this rig here, though. I think we're going to pull this up into the grass, maybe alongside our cow shed for the time being, just to get it out of the driveway. And I just want to switch this tractor over to the tillage machine and give that a quick try. I think we left the tillage machine actually right over on the other side of the dairy setup here. Yes, indeed we did. And so I'll be happy if we can get this one field of tillage done that we started with, or tried to start with last episode before we ran into the problems with the ground being frozen. And so I've not used this vertical tillage tool yet, so I'm really curious just to get it out in the field and see how she runs. I guess we could try and drive on our driveways just a little bit more. And as long as we're here, I think we're going to take one extra headland pass. We do have the grass here, but it'll just be easier if we've got a little extra room. Let ourselves turn around without ending up in the trees all the time. And this should end in a cultivator texture, but if I did everything correctly, it looks like we are counting as plowed as well. So I've got this thing set up like a subsoiler right now, just because I think that kind of fits in with my playstyle and is typically how I would see something like this get used. Sometimes you might still get a ripper out and do something a little deeper, but a lot of times, at least in my more recent experience, I'm seeing farmers use something like this vertical tillage tool just to chop up the trash and kind of mix it in, but they're not going a lot deeper than that. And given that the way we want to run this map, I think that's going to be a good mix for us. It's not too wide, but it does go 12 miles an hour, which is pretty sweet. I'm liking this setup a lot. It feels appropriately sized for our tractor, and we're going to be able to cover our acres pretty quick here with this rig. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. So with that, let's try and knock this field out. We're going to take a couple passes on this ditch side headland here, just so that we don't end up in the ditch like we just did here. And as soon as we've got these headlands off, we'll get some GPS going and run the rest of this field up right quick. All right, we are on our last pass here of tillage in this field as well. And I am noticing that these fields are a lot closer together than they appeared once you actually cultivate the parts that are defined as field boundaries. I'm thinking courseplay or even hired workers might have a bit of a problem with that narrow of a field definition up there. I am on GPS, so I'm just kind of hitting this area just to make sure we understand where the fields are actually at right now. This part down here I'm not so worried about. I think that's a reasonable border, but we might get the landscaping tool out and just add a smidge more right in here, because I think that's going to be a problem. So let's do that real quick. If we switch over here to the painting brush, and what I'm worried about is this looks like a slightly different ground texture. I don't know if it's the normal grass texture or what. I'm going to place just a little bit of grass there. That is a different ground texture. That's okay. I'm more worried about the addition of this grass area to prevent my workers from freaking out than I am that it's 100% exactly the same. I think it's going to blend together nice enough. And I think I'm going to err to the left side of this grass strip just a little bit. I think that'll do. We might just round out the corner a smidge while we're here. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now I've got this greener grass here right next to our darker green grass. Oh well. It's done now. So with that, we have slapped down some anhydrous on 2 of our fields. We've plowed in this other field, which means in theory, I could run anhydrous over this field as well. I don't know that, well, we've got lots of anhydrous, so we might as well use what we have and get anhydrous down everywhere that needs it. We just have to come up with a field plan for all of our fields before we do that. And so if we look at the map super quick here, I think the plan is at current to put sunflower in field 30 here, potatoes in field 28, and then I'm thinking in field 31 we'll probably plant some corn. We're probably going to till this up and put alfalfa in this area, and then we'll probably run beans and corn in these other 2 fields to get us started as well. I don't want to go over the top on potatoes until we see just how much work that's going to be. And then we might actually work on tilling some of this back grassy area up and doing alfalfa back here as well. So I think that's kind of our plan at the moment. We'll see how that changes as we get going here over the next few days and seasons. We do have a little bit more tillage that we need to do here at some point, but I'm feeling pretty good with our progress so far in this first couple of episodes. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. We're getting to try out some new mechanics, some different things that we haven't tried before. I'm super excited to see how this anhydrous thing continues to play out, and we'll check back in next time for some more spring field work. That's all for today. Kedrick?